The red sun of 442b was setting behind the mountains when Min saw the smoke. He stopped walking and looked up at the sky. A trail of black smoke stretched across the orange clouds like a dark finger pointing toward the forest. Min grabbed his emergency kit and started running. Which meant he studied alien life forms on distant planets. His research station was small and far from the main colony. He liked it that way, quiet, peaceful, but the smoke meant trouble. He ran through the tall blue grass that covered the valley. Strange bird-like creatures flew away as he passed. After 20 minutes, he found the crash site. A silver ship had torn through the trees and left a long scar in the ground. Parts of metal were scattered everywhere. Some pieces were still glowing hot. Min approached slowly. He had seen alien ships before, but never one like this. The design was elegant, with curves that seemed impossible. The metal had patterns that shifted when he looked at them. This was advanced technology, far beyond anything humans had built. He heard a sound. Someone was inside. Min climbed through a broken section of the hull. Inside, the ship was dark except for a few blinking lights. The air smelled like burnt circuits and something sweet he could not name. He moved carefully, stepping over broken equipment. Then he saw her. She was lying near the pilot's chair, half covered by fallen debris. Min's breath caught in his throat. She was beautiful in a way that seemed almost impossible. Her skin was pale with a slight blue shimmer. Her hair was long and silver, flowing around her like water. She had large eyes that glowed faintly even though they were closed. But she was also bleeding. A piece of metal had cut her side. Her breathing was shallow and fast. Min knelt beside her and checked her pulse. At least, he checked where he thought her pulse might be. Her anatomy was different, but he could feel a rhythm under his fingers. She was alive. He opened his emergency kit and pulled out medical supplies. His hands moved quickly, cleaning the wound and applying synthetic skin. It was not perfect, but it would stop the bleeding. He wrapped bandages around her torso, being as gentle as possible. Her eyes suddenly opened. They were bright purple and filled with fear. She grabbed his wrist with surprising strength and said something in a language he did not understand. The words sounded like music and static mixed together. "It's okay," Min said softly. "I'm trying to help you." She stared at him for a long moment. Her expression was confused and suspicious. Then she spoke again, and this time a small device on her collar translated her words into his language. "Stay back, human." Her voice was cold and sharp. "Do not touch me." Min raised his hand slowly. "You're hurt. You need medical attention. I'm not going to hurt you." "Your kind always hurts," she said. "I know what humans are: violent, primitive, dangerous." Min felt a sting at her words, but he kept his voice calm. "Maybe, but right now you're the one who's hurt, and I'm the one trying to help. So let me finish treating your wounds, and then you can decide what you think of me." She studied his face with those purple eyes. He could see her thinking, calculating. Finally, she released his wrist and nodded slightly. Min finished bandaging her wounds. He gave her water from his canteen and a nutrition bar from his pack. She took them reluctantly, as if accepting help was painful for her. "What's your name?" Min asked. "Lyra," she said after a pause, "of the Empire." "I'm Min. I'm a scientist. I work at a research station not far from here." Lyra tried to stand up but winced in pain. Min offered his hand, but she refused it. She managed to get to her feet on her own, though she swayed slightly. "My ship," she said, looking around at the wreckage. "I need to repair it." Min looked at the destroyed cockpit. Half the controls were melted. The engine core was cracked. "I don't think this ship is going anywhere soon. You need time to heal, and the ship needs major repairs." "I must contact my fleet," Lyra said. She reached for a communication device on the wall, but when she pressed the controls, nothing happened. The screen stayed dark. She tried again and again, her movements becoming more frantic. "The crash must have damaged it," Min said gently. Lyra's shoulders sagged. For a moment she looked lost and alone. Then she straightened up, her face becoming cold and distant again. I will repair it myself. I do not need help from a human. You're injured and stranded on a planet you don't know, Min said. At least let me offer you shelter while you recover. My research station has food, medical supplies, and tools. You can work on repairing your equipment there. Why would you help me? Lyra asked. Her voice was full of suspicion. What do you want in return? Nothing, Min said with a shrug. You're hurt and you need help. That's enough reason. Lyra stared at him as if he had said something completely crazy. In her world, in the Empire, no one helped others without expecting something back. Kindness without purpose made no logical sense. She had been taught that humans were primitive creatures driven by greed and violence. But this human was offering her help and asking for nothing. It did not make sense. But she was injured, her ship was destroyed, and she had no way to contact her people. She had no choice but to accept his offer, even if she did not understand it. Very well, Lyra said stiffly. I will come to your station, but only until I can repair my ship and leave. That's fair, Min said. He smiled at her, which made Lyra even more confused. Why was he smiling? What advantage did he gain from showing teeth? They walked through the forest as the sun disappeared completely. Two small moons rose in the sky, casting silver light through the trees. Min talked as they walked, pointing out interesting plants and animals. Lyra said nothing, but she listened. She noticed how carefully he walked, avoiding stepping on small creatures in their path. She noticed how he stopped to help her when the ground became rough, even though she insisted she did not need help. She noticed the gentle way he spoke, as if words themselves were meant to comfort. It was all very strange and illogical. When they reached his research station, a small building surrounded by gardens and equipment, Min showed her to a spare room. It was simple but clean. There was a bed, a desk, and a window that looked out at the valley. Rest tonight, Min said. Tomorrow we can look at your ship's components and see what can be salvaged. Lyra nodded. After he left, she sat on the bed and touched the bandages he had wrapped around her. They were carefully placed, not too tight, not too loose. He had treated her with care even though she had been hostile to him. She did not understand humans at all. Outside her window, she could hear Min humming a melody as he prepared food in the next room. The sound was soft and meaningless, serving no logical purpose. Yet somehow, it made the darkness feel less empty. Lyra lay down on the bed, exhausted from the crash and the pain. As she closed her eyes, she wondered what kind of creature helped an enemy for no reason at all. What kind of species valued kindness over logic? She would figure it out. She had to, because nothing about this human made sense, and Lyra had been trained to understand everything. But for now, she was too tired to think. For now, she would rest in the home of a strange, illogical human who smiled for no reason and helped strangers without asking for anything in return. Tomorrow, she would begin her repairs and leave this planet. Tomorrow, everything would make sense again. She hoped. Morning light filled the research station when Lyra woke up. She felt better than yesterday. The pain in her side was now just a dull ache. She touched the bandages and found that Min had been right. She did need time to heal. She left her room and found Min in the kitchen area. He was doing something strange with food. He was cutting vegetables into precise shapes and arranging them on a plate with care. He hummed that same meaningless melody from last night. "Good morning," Min said when he saw her. "How do you feel?" "Functional," Lyra replied. That was the word used. You were either functional or you were not. There was no in-between. Min smiled again, that strange expression that showed teeth. "I made breakfast. Do you like eggs? I wasn't sure what your species eats, so I made a variety." Lyra looked at the table. There were several dishes with different colors and smells. In the Empire, meals were efficient. You consumed a nutrition packet that contained everything your body needed. It took 30 seconds and required no thought. This was different. This had variety, choices, time spent on preparation. "Why do you waste time on food preparation?" Lyra asked. "A nutrition packet would be more efficient." Min set a plate in front of her. "Because eating isn't just about nutrition. It's about taste, experience, enjoyment. Food is one of life's pleasures." Pleasure, another word that made no sense to Lyra, did not seek pleasure. They sought efficiency and purpose. She ate the food anyway because her body needed fuel. But something unexpected happened. The food tasted good. Different flavors mixed together in her mouth. Sweet and salty and something else she had no word for. She had never experienced anything like it from a nutrition packet. She ate in silence, trying to ignore the strange satisfaction she felt. After breakfast, Min took her to his laboratory. It was full of equipment and samples, plants in glass containers, rocks with strange patterns, equipment for studying alien biology. On the walls were photographs, images of people smiling, standing together, holding each other. "Your family?" Lyra asked, pointing at the photos. "Yes," Min said, his voice soft. "My parents and my sister, they live on Earth. I haven't seen them in 2 years." "Why do you keep images of them?" Min looked surprised by the question. "Because I miss them. Because looking at their faces makes me happy, even when they're far away." Lyra studied the photos. In culture, families were for reproduction and training. Once you reached maturity, you separated and never looked back. Emotional bonds were considered weaknesses that made you less efficient. Yet this human kept images of people who were not even present. He felt emotions about people who were thousands of light years away. It made no logical sense. Over the next few days, Lyra watched Min carefully. She was trying to understand him, to find the logic in his behavior, but everything he did confused her more. He talked to his plants as he watered them. He gave them names. He told them they were growing well. Plants could not understand language. Talking to them served no purpose, yet he did it every day. He played music while he worked, sound patterns with no informational value, just rhythm and melody that served no function, yet he seemed to enjoy it. He spent time cooking elaborate meals when nutrition packets would be faster. He read books for entertainment when he could be studying useful information. He took walks just to look at the sunset, even though sunsets happened every day, and seeing one was the same as seeing any other. Lyra began to wonder if all humans were like this, or if Min was defective somehow. One afternoon, Min's friend came to visit. He was a communications specialist from the main colony. He was cheerful and loud, and he laughed often. Lyra found him exhausting. "So this is the alien girl," said, grinning at Lyra. "Min told me about you. You're even more beautiful than he described." Lyra did not understand why her appearance mattered. Beauty served no logical purpose. The two men were working on a relay station near the forest when Lyra heard Min shout. She ran outside and saw something that made her blood run cold. A native predator, something like a giant cat with 6 legs and armored plates, had cornered. The creature was massive and its teeth were as long as Lyra's hand. Had climbed onto a rock, but the predator was circling, ready to jump. Min was running toward them with a sonic emitter, a device that could scare away animals. But he was too far away. The predator crouched, ready to leap. Lyra watched in shock as Min ran faster, putting himself between the predator and his friend. He activated the sonic emitter and the creature screamed, confused by the high-pitched sound. It turned toward Min, angry now. Min stood his ground, even though the predator was twice his size and could kill him in seconds. He kept the emitter pointed at the creature, backing away slowly, drawing it away from. The predator swiped at Min with its claws. He jumped back, but not fast enough. The claws tore through his jacket and left shallow cuts on his arm, but he did not run. He kept himself between the predator and his friend until the creature finally decided this prey was too much trouble and ran into the forest. Only then did Min lower the emitter. His hands were shaking. Climbed down from the rock, his face pale. "You crazy idiot, you could have died." Min looked at his torn jacket and bloody arm. Then he laughed. It was a shaky laugh, but genuine. "Yeah, that was scary." "Why did you do that?" Lyra heard herself ask. She had come closer without realizing it. Min looked at her as if the answer was obvious. "Because he's my friend. That's what we do. We protect each other." Lyra stared at him. He had risked death. He had put himself in danger when he could have run to safety. He had chosen possible death for himself over certain death for another. The logic of it broke every rule she had been taught. In the Empire, self-preservation was the first priority. You did not sacrifice yourself for others. That was wasteful and illogical. Yet Min had done it without hesitation. "You could have died," she said again, unable to understand. "But I didn't," Min said simply. "And neither did. That's what matters." That night, Lyra could not sleep. She ran diagnostic programs on herself using her ship's medical scanner. She was experiencing sensations she had never felt before. Her heart rate increased when Min was near. She felt strange warmth in her chest when he smiled at her. She thought about him even when he was not present. The diagnostics showed nothing wrong with her biology, but something was definitely different. The next morning came to visit. She was the medical officer from the colony, a kind woman with sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. She examined Lyra's healing wounds and declared them almost healed. "Min did a good job taking care of you," said. "He is adequate," Lyra replied stiffly. Laughed. "Adequate? That man saved your life and gave you his home. He treats you like a guest, not a stranger, and you call him adequate." Lyra did not know how to respond. In her language, adequate was high praise, but clearly humans used words differently. Leaned closer and lowered her voice. "Be careful, Lyra, humans and aliens mixing. It gets complicated. Feelings get involved." "Feelings?" Lyra asked. "Emotions," explained. "The things that make us happy or sad, excited or afraid. The things that make us care about each other." "Do not have feelings," Lyra said. "We are logical." Smiled sadly. "Everyone has feelings, honey. Some people just hide them better." After left, Lyra thought about her words. Feelings, emotions. These were the strange sensations she had been experiencing. The warmth in her chest, the increased heart rate, the constant thoughts of Min. Was she malfunctioning, or was she feeling? That evening she found Min sitting outside, watching the sunset. The sky was full of orange and purple colors. She sat beside him without saying anything. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Min said softly. "It is just light refracting through the atmosphere," Lyra said. "It happens every day. There is no practical value in observing it." "Maybe not," Min agreed. "But it makes me feel peaceful. It reminds me that there's beauty in the universe, even in simple things." Lyra looked at the sunset again. She tried to see what he saw, and for a moment, just a brief moment, she understood. The colors were beautiful. Not useful, not logical, not efficient, just beautiful. And feeling that beauty made something inside her feel warm. It terrified her. The warning came at dawn. Burst into the research station, his face pale and sweating. He had run all the way from the main colony. "Ship in orbit," he gasped. "Big one design." Lyra felt her blood turn cold. She ran to the communications console and activated the long-range scanner. There it was, a massive warship hovering above the planet like a metal moon. She recognized the design. It was a Seeker-class vessel used for military operations and territorial expansion. They had found her. "They're broadcasting a message to the colony," said, pulling up the transmission on his portable device. "They're demanding your return." The message played on the screen. A human face appeared, but his eyes were cold and empty. He wore a military uniform. Lyra recognized the type. A collaborator. A human who had joined the Empire and abandoned his own people. "This is commander of the expeditionary force," the man said. His voice was flat and emotionless. "We are searching for one of our scouts. The colony will surrender her immediately or face consequences. This planet has been marked for expansion. Cooperation will be noted and rewarded." Min stood behind Lyra, his hand on her shoulder. She could feel the warmth of his touch through her clothes. It made her feel safe and terrified at the same time. "What does he mean by expansion?" Min asked quietly. Lyra closed her eyes. She had known this moment would come. She just had not wanted to face it. "My mission was reconnaissance. I was mapping your colony, studying your defenses, analyzing your resources. I was gathering data for invasion." The silence that followed was heavy and painful. Lyra could not look at Min. She could not bear to see the betrayal in his eyes. "So everything," Min's voice was soft, "everything was a lie." "No," Lyra said quickly, turning to face him. "I crashed. That part was real. You saved me. You helped me. That was all real. I did not expect." She struggled to find the words. "I did not expect you." "What happens now?" asked. Before Lyra could answer, another transmission came through. This one was directed specifically to her ship's emergency beacon. A face appeared on the screen, and Lyra felt her heart sink even further. It was her sister. Looked exactly like Lyra, except her expression was colder. Her purple eyes showed no warmth, no uncertainty. She was everything a should be: logical, efficient, emotionless. "Lyra," said, her voice was flat, "I have come to retrieve you. Prepare for transport within the hour. Your mission data will be extracted and analyzed. The colony will be claimed for the Empire." "Wait," Lyra started. "You will be debriefed on your time with the humans," continued, ignoring the interruption. "Your behavior will be evaluated. Any contamination from human culture will be corrected." The screen went dark. Lyra sat down slowly. Contamination. That was what it said. They thought she had been contaminated by humans, by their emotions, by their illogical way of living. They were right. "What will they do to you?" Min asked. He knelt beside her chair, his eyes full of concern. "They will try to fix me," Lyra said. "They will remove the emotions I have developed. They will make me logical again. They will make me forget." "Forget what?" "You," Lyra whispered. "They will make me forget you." Min took her hand. His touch was gentle, careful. "Then don't go back." "I must," Lyra said. "If I do not, they will attack the colony. Many humans will die. It will be my fault." "It won't be your fault," Min said firmly. "You didn't ask them to come. You didn't ask to crash here. You're not responsible for what your empire does." But Lyra felt responsible. She had been taught duty above all else. Service to the Empire was the highest purpose. But now, looking at Min's face, she wondered if there were purposes higher than duty. The colony leaders called an emergency meeting. Lyra and Min went together, along with. The main colony was much larger than Min's research station. Hundreds of humans lived here, working on terraforming projects and scientific research. In the meeting hall, the colony administrator, a stern woman named Wu, stood at the podium. Next to her was the head of security, a man named Wu Jin. "They have given us 12 hours to surrender their scout," Wu said. "If we comply, they say they will negotiate peacefully. If we refuse, they will take her by force and claim our colony." "We should fight," Wu Jin said. His voice was angry. "We don't negotiate with invaders." "Fight with what?" someone shouted from the crowd. "They have a warship. We have mining equipment and research tools." The room erupted in arguments. Some wanted to surrender Lyra to save the colony. Others wanted to fight. Still others wanted to evacuate and abandon the planet entirely. Lyra stood up. The room slowly went quiet. "I will return to my people," she said. Her voice was steady, even though her heart was breaking. "I will go willingly. There is no need for violence." "No," Min said, standing beside her. "You don't have to sacrifice yourself." It is logical, Lyra said, and she hated how that word sounded coming from her mouth now. One life for many, that is the only solution. That's not logic, Min said. That's fear. You're afraid of your feelings, so you're running back to a life where you don't have to feel anything. His words hit her like a physical blow. Because he was right, she was afraid. The emotions she had developed terrified her. Love, happiness, sadness, connection. These things were foreign and dangerous. It would be easier to go back, to let them erase her memories, to become logical and cold again. But it would also be a lie. Before she could respond, the ceiling above them exploded. Soldiers dropped through the hole, their armor gleaming. They moved with perfect precision, surrounding Lyra in seconds. At the front of the group was. "You have taken too long to decide," said. "We are taking our scout by force." Min stepped between, and Lyra, she doesn't want to go, looked at him the way someone might look at an insect. What she wants is irrelevant. She is property of the Empire. She's a person, Min said, not property, and persons get to choose their own path. Tilted her head, studying Min like he was a strange specimen. "You are the one, the human who contaminated my sister." She turned to Lyra. "This is what has made you defective, this primitive creature." Lyra felt anger for the first time in her life. Real, burning anger. "He is not primitive. He is more advanced than we could ever be." His eyes narrowed. "You are severely compromised. You will come with us now. You will be corrected." The soldiers moved forward, but before they could reach Lyra, the colonists reacted. Wu Jin and his security team raised their weapons. It was not much, mining lasers and tool cutters, but they stood firm. "This is our colony," Wu Jin said. "You don't get to just take our people." "She is not your people," said coldly. "Maybe not by birth," Wu said, stepping forward, "but by choice. By the kindness she's been shown and the kindness she's returned. That makes her one of us." Lyra felt something break inside her. These humans were willing to fight for her. They barely knew her. She had come to their planet as a spy, gathering information to help invade their home, yet they stood between her and harm anyway. Because that was what humans did. They protected each other. They cared about each other. They fought for each other even when it was illogical. And Lyra realized in that moment that she did not want to go back to a life without this. She did not want to return to cold logic and empty efficiency. She wanted to stay with these illogical, emotional, wonderful humans. She wanted to stay with Min. Lyra said, stepping forward, "I am not going back." Her sister's face showed emotion for the first time. Shock. "You are refusing a direct order." "Yes," Lyra said. The word felt powerful. "I am choosing to stay." "Then you are a traitor," said, "and traitors are dealt with accordingly." The soldiers raised their weapons. The colonists raised theirs. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. And somewhere in orbit above them, a warship full of more soldiers waited for the order to attack. The standoff lasted only seconds before chaos erupted. The colonists fired first, their improvised weapons flashing in the dim light. The soldiers returned fire with precision. People screamed and dove for cover. Min grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her behind a heavy table. "We need to get you out of here." "No," Lyra said firmly. "I will not run while people fight because of me." She pulled away from him and ran to the communications console. Her fingers flew over the controls. She knew systems better than anyone here. If she could access their tactical network, she could give the colonists an advantage. Saw what she was doing and moved to stop her, but Wu Jin blocked her path. "You want her, you go through us first." The battle spread through the colony. The soldiers were better trained and better armed, but the humans fought with something they did not understand. Desperation born from love of home and protection of community. Lyra accessed the tactical network and started downloading data. Patrol routes, weak points in their armor, blind spots in their sensors. She sent it all to the colonists' systems. "Got it," shouted from across the room. I can see their movements now. With this information, the colonists started fighting smarter. They set traps. They used the terrain. They coordinated in ways that confused the logical battle plans. But it was not enough. More soldiers were being deployed from the ship. The colonists were being overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Lyra knew what she had to do. She pulled up the colony's power grid and started making calculations. "Min," she called out, "the fusion reactor in the southern sector, can it be overloaded?" Min's eyes widened. Theoretically, yes, but that would create a massive electromagnetic pulse. It would fry all electronics in the area. "Including equipment," Lyra said. "Their armor, their weapons, their communications, everything." "But it would also destroy our systems," protested. "Then we fight without systems," Lyra said. "Hand to hand, human to your creativity against their logic." Wu Jin grinned despite the blood on his face. "I like those odds." They started executing the plan. Min and ran to the reactor. Wu Jin and his team created a distraction, drawing the soldiers toward the colony center. Lyra and worked on timing the pulse perfectly, but was not fooled. She broke away from the fight and chased after Min, and Lyra saw her sister disappear down the corridor, and her heart clenched with fear. "Keep working on the pulse," she told. Then she ran after them. She found them at the reactor. Min was working on the controls while stood guard, was approaching with her weapon raised. "Stop," Lyra shouted. Turned to face her sister. "You have betrayed everything we are, everything we were taught. For what? For these humans." "Yes," Lyra said without hesitation, "because they taught me what we forgot. They taught me how to feel, how to live, how to care about something beyond duty and efficiency." "Emotions are weakness," said, her voice cold but something flickering in her eyes. "No," Lyra said, "emotions are strength. They give us reasons to fight, reasons to protect, reasons to sacrifice." Min risked his life for his friend because he cared. These humans are fighting a superior force because they care about their home and each other. That is not weakness. That is the strongest thing in the universe. His weapon wavered slightly. "You are speaking nonsense." "Am I?" Lyra stepped closer. "When was the last time you felt anything? When was the last time you wanted something beyond your next mission? When was the last time you were happy?" For a moment, just a brief moment, Lyra saw confusion in her sister's eyes. Uncertainty. The first crack in her logical armor. Then a blast hit Lyra from the side. She had not seen the other soldier enter. The energy bolt caught her in the chest and she fell hard. Pain exploded through her body. She could not breathe. "No," Min's voice sounded distant. She saw him running toward her, abandoning the reactor controls. Stood frozen, watching her sister fall. The soldier who had fired moved forward to finish the job. He raised his weapon again and shot him. Her own teammate. She shot him without hesitation, the blast catching him in the chest and knocking him unconscious. Everyone stopped and stared at her. Stood there, weapon still raised, looking at what she had done with an expression of complete shock. She started, her voice trembled. I felt something when I saw her fall. It hurt. Inside." "Why did it hurt?" "Because you love her," Min said softly, kneeling beside Lyra. "Because she's your sister and you don't want to lose her." Lowered her weapon slowly. Her hands were shaking. "This is what you feel all the time, this pain and fear and sometimes," Min said, pressing his hands against Lyra's wound to stop the bleeding. "But also joy and happiness and hope, all of it together. That's what makes us alive." The reactor alarm started blaring. Called out, 30 seconds until the pulse. Made a decision. She ran to the reactor and helped complete the sequence. Her fingers moved over the controls with practiced efficiency, but her face showed emotion now. Worry, fear, determination. "Everyone get to the shielded room," shouted. Min picked up Lyra, carrying her as gently as he could. Her vision was fading, but she could feel his arms around her, strong and warm and safe. They made it to the shielded emergency shelter just as the pulse hit. Through the window, they could see the electromagnetic wave spread through the colony like a blue ring of light. All the lights went out. All the screens went dark. All the weapons and armor stopped working. The soldiers outside were now just people in heavy, useless suits. The colonists, prepared for this, rushed out with basic weapons, mining tools, metal bars, their own hands. They fought with raw determination and creative tactics that the logical could not predict or counter. Within an hour, they surrendered. Inside the shelter, worked frantically on Lyra's wounds. The blast had been serious. Lyra's breathing was shallow and her skin was losing its shimmer. "Stay with me," Min whispered, holding her hand. "Please stay with me." Lyra looked up at him. His face was blurry, but she could see the tears in his eyes. He was crying for her. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I brought this to you." "No," Min said firmly. "You brought yourself to me. You brought someone amazing and brave and beautiful into my life. I'm not sorry for that. I could never be sorry for that." Knelt on Lyra's other side. Her sister's face was wet with tears too, the first tears she had ever cried. "I understand now," said quietly. "What you found here, what you did not want to lose, I felt it too when I thought I would lose you. I felt," she struggled with the word, "I felt love." Lyra smiled weakly. "Illogical, is it not?" "Completely," agreed, "and I do not want to give it up." Finished her treatment and sat back. "She'll live, but she needs rest and care, lots of both." Min let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. He pressed his forehead against Lyra's hand. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for staying." Outside, the battle was over. The now without their technological advantage and faced with human creativity and determination, had been forced to retreat to their ship. But something had changed. The soldiers who had fought alongside had seen her transformation. They had seen her feel, seen her choose love over duty. And some of them had started feeling things too. When the colony's backup systems came online, they received a transmission from the warship. It was not Commander this time. It was the ship's captain, a named Thane. "We are withdrawing," Thane said. His voice still flat, but there was something else underneath. Uncertainty. "You have proven yourselves unpredictable, dangerous. We will report that this colony is not worth the resources required to take it." It was a lie, and everyone knew it. The truth was simpler and more frightening to the. They had seen what humans could do, seen what emotions and connections could inspire, and they were afraid. Afraid that their own people might start feeling too. As the warship left orbit, Lyra lay in the medical bay with Min beside her. She was alive, she was safe, and she had a choice to make. 3 days after the battle, Lyra was strong enough to walk again. Her wounds were healing well, thanks to care and a combination of human and medical knowledge. The colony was also healing, rebuilding what had been damaged in the fighting. Had stayed. She had requested asylum from the colony, claiming she wanted to learn more about human emotions. In truth, she wanted to understand what her sister had found here. What was worth betraying an entire empire for? Lyra watched her sister from the medical bay window, was helping colonists repair a damaged building. She moved awkwardly, unused to working alongside others as equals rather than as commander and subordinates. But she was trying. And sometimes Lyra saw her smile. Small smiles, uncertain ones, but real. "Your sister is fitting in well," Min said, entering the room with a tray of food. Real food, not nutrition packets. He had made soup and bread, simple but prepared with care. "She is learning," Lyra said. "It is strange to see her like this, uncertain, emotional, but also more alive." Min set the tray on her lap. "Eat, you need your strength." Lyra ate slowly, savoring each bite. She had learned to appreciate food now, to enjoy the flavors and textures. It was one of many small pleasures she had discovered in her time with humans. "The Colony Council wants to talk to you," Min said after a moment. "They want to know what you plan to do, if you're staying or... He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Or if I am leaving, Lyra completed, returning to my people. Are you? Min asked quietly. There was fear in his voice, carefully hidden but present. Lyra set down her spoon. The Empire will not give up on this sector. They will send more ships, more soldiers. They will want revenge for what happened here. And they will want me as an example of what happens to traitors. So you think you should go back to protect us? It would be logical, Lyra said. The word tasted bitter now. One life to save many, that is the way. Min stood up abruptly. I'm tired of logic. His voice was sharp, angry. You almost died defending this colony. You betrayed your own people to save us. And now you're talking about sacrificing yourself again. When does it end, Lyra? When do you get to choose what you want? What I want does not matter, Lyra said, but her voice wavered. It matters to me, Min said intensely. He knelt beside her bed and took her hands. It matters to everyone here. You're not just a problem to be solved or a sacrifice to be made. You're a person, and persons deserve happiness. Lyra looked at their joined hands. His skin was warm against hers. She could feel his pulse, steady and strong. I do not know how to be happy. My people removed that from themselves generations ago. Then learn, Min said. Stay here and learn. Learn what it means to laugh until your stomach hurts. Learn what it means to look forward to tomorrow. Learn what it means to... He paused, struggling with the words. Learn what it means to love someone and be loved in return. Lyra's heart was beating fast, too fast. Min. I'm in love with you, he said simply. I know it's complicated. I know you're still figuring out your emotions. I know there's a whole empire that wants you back, but I don't care. I love you and I want you to stay, not because it's logical or because it solves some problem, but because I can't imagine my life without you in it anymore. Tears filled Lyra's eyes. She had learned to cry in her time with humans. It had felt strange at first, water leaking from her eyes for no practical reason. But now she understood. Tears were not weakness. They were proof that you felt something strongly enough for your body to react. I'm afraid, she whispered. Of what? Of everything. Of feeling too much. Of losing you. Of staying and bringing danger to this colony. Of leaving and losing myself again. She looked up at him. I am afraid that I am not strong enough for this. You're the strongest person I know, Min said. You left your entire world behind. You chose to feel when it would have been easier not to. You fought against your own people to protect strangers. That's not weakness. That's incredible strength. Lyra stood up slowly. Her legs were still weak, but she needed to move. She walked to the window and looked out at the colony. People were working together, rebuilding. Humans and now too, all moving toward a common goal. Beyond the colony, she could see the valley where Min's research station stood. The place where she had crashed. The place where her old life had ended and this new, confusing, wonderful life had begun. I need to walk, Lyra said. Will you come with me? Min nodded, always. They walked slowly through the colony. People waved at them. Some thanked Lyra for her help during the battle. Others smiled at her, genuine smiles that held no suspicion or fear. These humans had accepted her as one of their own. They reached Min's research station as the sun was setting. The sky was full of colors, orange and purple and pink all blending together. The twin moons were rising, casting silver light across the valley. Lyra stopped at the spot where Min had first found her crashed ship. The wreckage had been cleared away, but she could still remember that moment. Waking up in pain, seeing a human standing over her, expecting violence but receiving kindness instead. This is where it all started, she said softly. This is where I found the most important thing in my life, Min replied. Lyra turned to face him. The setting sun made his face glow. His eyes were full of hope and fear and love all mixed together. Human eyes, so full of emotion that it should be illogical but instead was beautiful. My people believe emotions make us weak, Lyra said slowly. They believe logic and efficiency are the highest goals. They have built an empire that spans hundreds of worlds, all without love or joy or connection. And are they happy? Min asked. No, Lyra said. They are empty. They exist, but they do not live. They function, but they do not feel. They have everything, but they have nothing. She stepped closer to him. I was like them once, cold and logical and empty. Then I crashed on this planet and met a human who helped me for no reason, who showed me kindness when I expected cruelty, who taught me that there is more to existence than efficiency and duty. She took his hands in hers. You taught me to feel, Min. You taught me to hope and laugh and care. You taught me to love. Min's breath caught. Lyra. I want to stay with you, human, Lyra confessed. The words came out in a rush, carrying all the emotion she had been holding back. Tears streamed down her face. I do not want to return to my cold, logical world. I do not want to forget what I have learned here. I do not want to lose you. I want to stay and learn more about feelings. I want to laugh at your terrible jokes. I want to help you talk to your plants. I want to watch sunsets that serve no practical purpose. I want to stay and love you if you will have me. For a moment, Min just stared at her. Then he pulled her into his arms and held her tight. She could feel him shaking, could feel tears on her shoulder that were not her own. Yes, he whispered. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Stay with me. Stay and teach your people what they have forgotten. Stay and remind my people what makes us special. Just, please stay. They stood there for a long time, holding each other as the sun set and the moons rose. Around them, the valley was full of strange alien life. Above them, stars from distant worlds sparkled in the darkening sky. But in that moment, they were not thinking about planets or empires or different species. They were just two people who had found each other across the vastness of space. Two people who had learned that love was the most powerful force in the universe, stronger than any technology or weapon. Later, they walked back to the research station, was waiting for them, and she smiled when she saw their joined hands. You are staying, she said to Lyra. It was not a question. I am staying, Lyra confirmed. Nodded, good. Then I will stay too. Someone needs to teach our people what we have learned. Someone needs to show them that emotions are not weakness but strength. That will be dangerous, Lyra warned. The Empire does not react well to defiance. Then they will learn something else humans have taught me, said with a small smile. Courage. In the weeks that followed, Lyra and sent messages to other. They told them about the colony, about humans, about the emotions they had discovered. Some ignored the messages. Some reported them as propaganda. But some listened, and some started to feel. The Colony Council officially granted Lyra citizenship. She was no longer an alien scout. She was a colonist, a member of their community. She worked alongside Min at the research station, studying the planet's ecosystem and helping to make the colony self-sufficient. At night, she and Min would sit under the stars. Sometimes they talked about the future, about the challenges they would face. Sometimes they just sat in comfortable silence, enjoying each other's presence. One evening, as they watched the sunset for the 100th time, came to visit. So, he said with a wide grin, when's the wedding? Lyra tilted her head, wedding. It's a human ceremony, Min explained, his face turning red. When two people commit to spending their lives together. Oh, Lyra said, she thought about it for a moment, then she smiled. That sounds wonderfully illogical. Is that a yes? Min asked hopefully. Lyra leaned her head on his shoulder. That is a yes. Appeared from behind, grinning triumphantly. I told you it was alien. They all laughed together, the sound carrying across the valley. It was a sound full of joy and hope and love, a sound that proved emotions were not weakness but the greatest strength of all. Far above them, in the cold darkness of space, the Empire continued its expansion. But on one small colony on a distant planet, something new was growing. something that no amount of logic or efficiency could stop. Love, connection, humanity. And it was spreading, one converted at a time. Because once you learn to feel, once you learn to love, you could never go back to being empty. Lyra had learned that truth, and now she would spend the rest of her life teaching it to others. She was home,